people. The other, like this is from JuanCole.com and also from the New England Journal of Medicine, 85% of the deaths caused by the U.S. government, were the aerial bombardments of targets were women and children. 85%. That's a human rights violation, and I don't know what one does to make. You can't really make restitution for something like that. It just can't be done. And this happens like every given day that there's some problem. And I'm going to go down to April 19th alone. And I use April 19th because it's a day of mourning for a lot of libertarians. 8 women and children died in a U.S. drone attack in a hideout in Pakistan, in South Waziristan Agency, which is one little place on the planet that most people never think about, but the human beings live there, and the drone attacks happen. And every day we have civilian casualties, and I don't know what possible benefit. I don't know how I, as an American, or North American, am supposed to be safer, I'm supposed to benefit because women and children died in Pakistan. How does that make my life better? I will never know. And I certainly didn't ask anyone to go to Pakistan and kill someone for me. I don't even know anyone in Pakistan. I'm not sure how many actual Pakistanis I've ever met in my life. So this is an absolute abomination that happens. And one of the ways you can express this to people, one of the ways that I express disgust is, during the Bush administration, I used to really, really go after Republicans who would go rah-rah. But it's even more bizarre now because young people who were supposed to be so liberal and progressive and have all the right and gratifying correct positions now on Daily Kos and on Huffington Post are finding ways to rationalize Obama's war. And this is a very, very bad. Usually I'm so big on bashing the right, but I'm going to bash a little bit the left here because this is absolutely terrible. What we do is we go overseas and we destroy infrastructure and culture and families. And we create a new generation of very, very angry people, and they have every right to be angry with us, who are just chomping off the bit to pull another 9/11 to express their outrage with what is basically a nonstop war against them, against their physical lives and their entire culture. And that's probably how they see it, even though we don't really often get to hear their point of view. The anti-war issue does unite, but unfortunately, what has happened now is we have a sincere anti-war movement, and now we have the insincere anti-war movement of those people who don't realize that Barack Obama is exactly the same on the issue as President Bush. Now, when you say, "Oh, but Obama, he was going to he was going to end Gitmo," well, he sort of did. He signed the paperwork. No trials, people are still well in prison. Occasionally a few will slip out and there'll be an announcement of that. But nothing has changed. He has, however, amped up the war in Afghanistan. And I know you've heard that they're going to be pulling troops out of Iraq. Well, let me know when they pull the first troop, because that news story hasn't happened yet. And the best we're going to hear about it is, at some point, there will only be 50,000 troops in Iraq. So in other words, we are occupying Iraq for indefinitely. And and I don't see any change in this in the next few years. I mean, this is where we're going to be. But this is a beautiful opportunity for libertarians to really, really make a social change, because it's only going to get worse, and at some point there will be people who are on the left who will turn their back. And I'm not saying all people on the left, I'm just saying kind of that moderate left, which is Obama's my man. Obama, the T-shirts, the weird youth worshiping movements. I don't understand it or get it, because all this man has done is at least, 2 weeks ago, 16 strikes on Pakistan. The only thing I take from the Obama administration is just how many people he kills every day. He has blood all over his hands, and you can find this out at obamabodycount.org, where it also has the icons for the Iraq body counts. What can we do that will make an absolute difference in terms of libertarianism? Well, you can show up and talk to people at anti-war rallies and talk to them about libertarianism, but perhaps the best thing you could do is do something that will end the war, because that is actually going to make a huge change in your life. When you think about all the things that the war does, I mean, whether it's confiscatory taxation, the Federal Reserve, and all the things that this is connected to, the war economy, which is part of the reason why we're in a near economic collapse, which the Austrian economics theorists have been warning us for years. This is very much tied into the endless war. I mean, basically, we have an entire system that's set up so that someone can sell toothpaste in Baghdad. That's where it ends up in the end. So here's your opportunity to really, really focus. What would be a libertarian issue that would make a huge change? the peace movement, the anti-war movement, and we're the ones who, irrespective of any pragmatic considerations, really, really get that issue. And that issue has to be stated straightforwardly. It can't be, oh, well, there's some rationalization for Afghanistan or some we thought we knew something. No, you didn't. That was utter nonsense. It's been debunked repeatedly. Just like the fact that 9/11, you know, they're trying to connect 9/11 to Iraq. And it's all been lies. You all know this. You can all read. So every time, and I bring this back to the fact that this is a libertarian organization, Wayne Root, as recently as a week ago, said, well, you know, there were some justifications for Afghanistan. No, there weren't. That's an utter lie. That's an opinion held by a very ignorant person who couldn't find Afghanistan on a map 2 years ago. So no, I don't, when I think about Lee's statement, I guess I disagree with Lee on this point, is that I absolutely refuse to give the Libertarian Party another dime or another second when it is so ideologically off base on one of the most basic issues. That's the largest violation of the non-aggression principle, a violation of the natural rights which we are all born with. They are not given to us. They are not given to us by a vote or anything else. That this is not that the fact that this issue has been basically pushed under the table or swept off, including by our national chair, who also supported the invasion of Afghanistan. So no, that's the one area I think I'm disagree with Lee, and I'm not giving it another second. There's lots of personal reasons why I shouldn't. You know, what they did to me was unconscionable, but the only thing it cost me was an opportunity. The only thing it cost me is that it gave me more opportunities to speak about antiwar.com. It's amazing how much, with the amount of publicity all of that that it received, that suddenly people were giving donations. I didn't know you worked for antiwar.com. Here you go. You know, you're right. So it helped me in the end, and I'm really, really grateful to members of the Libertarian National Committee who gave me that, especially the ones who have been the worst about keeping the war issue out of state newsletters, keeping it out of votes. It took us how many years to properly correct our statement on Afghanistan? Originally, the LP statement on Afghanistan was very weak, and it was only this past fall that we actually had a resolution to get out of Afghanistan. So you're right. I have a little resentment there toward that. That's way, way far, far off from where we should be. But you can make some changes by reading antiwar.com and actually talking to people about the actual numbers every single day about what's really going on in the Middle East, and stop the nonsense. And every time Wayne Root says something that sounds idiotic, you can check him on it. We have the information and the material. So he can't get away with stating things that are absolutely ludicrous and absurd. If the Libertarian Party is about anything, it's about the non-aggression principle. And if you think that, as happened 2 weeks ago, where U.S. soldiers shot a 12-year-old Iraqi girl, if you don't see that as the most basic violation of what libertarian principles are, then you came to the wrong place. So anyway, antiwar.com, I've got my cards here. I'm not a foreign policy expert, though I do memorize a lot of weird numbers. And I have people who are experts on almost any given topic within the world that I can contact and tell you about. Also, too, if you're interested in our mailing list, I have sheets you can sign up, and we have Twitters and Yahoo groups and everything else, so you can get the news right away. And if you subscribe to my Facebook, you can always see the status updates about what's happening. My Facebook's open to anyone, so you can see the daily stories that come on there. Very rarely do I Twitter about LP events, though I did Twitter about this because I know that there's plenty of people who were very interested about what happened here today. So, and so far so good. So thank you so much.